deaths are spiking again. We look into the numbers and show you where the Hoosier State stands with its neighbors.
The voice on the ground coming from the community is that this is a positive step forward. And so we want to continue to push and to ride on that energy.
IMPD announced major changes after members of the community said they wanted more transparency and officer accountability. Tonight, we find out if those who called for change have noticed improvements.
I can't vote if I don't have a ballot. So, all I can do is continue to try to get my ballot.
More people reaching out to WRTV saying they don't have their absentee ballot yet after applying for one. What we're finding out tonight.
Vice President Mike Pence in Indiana on the night of the final debate between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden.
First up here at 6 o'clock, breaking news tonight. The FDA has just announced it has approved the drug remdesivir to help treat COVID-19. It is the first drug officially approved for treating the coronavirus. Remdesivir has been under an emergency use authorization, but now the drug's maker, Gilead Sciences, says the FDA has approved remdesivir to treat adults and patients 12 years of age and older for the treatment of COVID-19 requiring hospitalization. The state of Indiana is dealing with another single-day record in COVID-19 cases.
And this comes a day after Governor Eric Holcomb reiterated that we're staying in stage 5, saying what we need to do is not let our guard down, wear masks around other people, and continue to social distance. And today, the Indiana Department of Health confirms 2,880 additional cases of the coronavirus. Again, that's a record report for a single day. In total, 155,246 people in Indiana have or have had COVID-19. The Department of Health also reports 42 additional deaths in Indiana, one of the highest single-day totals since May. 3,831 people have died with the coronavirus since the pandemic started. And 31% of Indiana's ICU beds are available. That's fewer open ICU beds than yesterday, when that number was almost at 35% availability. Comparing Indiana to its neighbors, again, our state reported 1,880 additional COVID cases today. In Ohio, a state with about 5 million more people in Indiana, their health department confirms 2,425 additional cases over the past 24 hours. In Illinois, their number reported today is 4,942 additional cases. They have about 6 million more people than in Indiana. We show you how COVID-19 is impacting different areas of your life, the guidelines that are in place, plus what you can do to get through this difficult time and hopefully find some positivity along the way. That's all at WRTV.com/coronavirus.
Well, following the death of George Floyd while in Minneapolis police custody and following the shooting death of Dre'Jon Reed by an IMPD officer, Indianapolis had weeks of protests and rallies over the summer. Demonstrators called for social and racial justice. Tonight, we follow up. Our Nicole Griffin checks in with the community leaders who took to the streets, asking them if they believe progress is being made in Indianapolis.
I talked to one of the members of Faith in Indiana. They have been working all summer long, holding rallies and conversations and just trying to figure out concerns that community members have. They are calling the decision to now add 4 citizens to an internal policymaking board for IMPD a huge step in the right direction.
It means that we've heard the people, and now the City County Council has heard the people.
Reverend Shonda Nicole Gladden is a member of Faith in Indiana, a group that works with the community on issues like racial and economic equity.
With the killing of Aaron Bailey a few years ago, and then the more recent killing of Dre'Jon Reed, the faith community has really been listening to our membership who's saying they're hurting. They're tired of what's going on.
This summer, IMPD worked with Faith in Indiana and other advocacy groups, taking their input to create the department's new use of force policy, which places an emphasis on de-escalation. IMPD Chief Randall Taylor called it a commitment to build community trust and develop stronger neighborhoods.
The current relationship needs work. I think, of course, that there are community members who may be in support of policing or their understanding of what policing is, but it needs work.
Jessica Louise with Indy 10 Black Lives Matter recognizes that adding 4 citizens to the new General Orders Board, along with 3 law enforcement officers, is a step in the right direction. But her organization still has demands.
They also elected to increase IMPD's budget to $261 million. We would rather see that money go towards community efforts like feeding and housing the community.
Reverend Gladden says the new General Orders Board will help restore restore trust between the community and the police department.
Because they'll see more and they'll be able to say more and how police engage with our community.
She says it will ensure accountability and put the public back in public safety. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
IMPD Chief Randall Taylor says from working to improve diversity in recruiting to the return to and subsequent expansion of community-based beat policing models to recent policy changes such as banning the dangerous practice of no-knock warrants and updating the department's use of force policy, IMPD is dedicated to serving in the ways our community asks of us. We'll put his entire statement on the WRTV News app in this story. Tonight, a step in the right direction. We're finding out that Marion County has lower infant mortality rates, including a record low for black infants. According to the Marion County Public Health Department, for 2019, the overall infant mortality rate in Marion County was 8.8 deaths per 1,000 live births. That number was 9.2 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2018. The black infant mortality rate in Marion County in 2019 was 10.9 deaths per 1,000 live births. That's a drop from 14 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2018. The Marion County Health Department says the top causes for infant mortality are low birth weight, premature birth, and birth defects. They say contributors to these causes include maternal smoking, lack of adequate prenatal care, lack of folic acid, and alcohol use.
Time is running out if you plan to vote by mail here in Marion County. The deadline to apply for an absentee ballot is tonight. The county clerk's office says they are already seeing a record number of absentee ballots come in, but some people say they are still waiting to receive theirs. We told you about this issue on the news at 6 yesterday. Since then, we've heard from even more voters still waiting on their ballots. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum spoke with some of them and is working to get answers.
My question is this: what happened to my ballot?
It's a question some Marion County residents who planned to vote by mail are asking.
Kept watching my portal to see if they had sent the ballot out.
Teresa Sedka says according to the portal, it was mailed out back on September 19th. But now, more than a month later, she still doesn't have it.
There are some ballots that were mailed out around that September 19th date that either have not made their way to voters or have recently made their way to voters.
Voters in this situation should fill out this ABS 5 form to request a new one.
I mean, it's frustrating, right? Because it's an important election.
Christian Johnson experiencing something similar. He requested an absentee ballot because he's currently working in Canada. He's still waiting on his as well.
I want to be able to vote. I feel like it's my duty. Not everyone can vote. And, you know, like those who can should. It's frustrating in that aspect, especially being out of the country. You know, like it's not like I can just, I couldn't vote absentee, so I'm just going to go vote in person.
The clerk's office is recommending he request a replacement ballot. As for Sedka, she's not taking any chances.
If my ballot didn't get here once, there's a good likelihood it may not get here a second time.
So she ended up going downtown to vote in person, another alternative for those who haven't received their ballot yet.
This is the biggest election of my life, and I'm serious about it. And I hope other people are too and do their best.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
And we are still working to figure out what might happen to that batch of ballots mailed out late September. We've also reached out to the post office. We will let you know when we learn more.
A nonprofit that aims to protect voter rights by mail is concerned about some voters not receiving their ballots. Indiana Vote by Mail is a nonpartisan group that says voting by mail makes voting available to even more citizens. President Barbara Tully says other states like Colorado and California use software that makes signature verification easier. She says Indiana can do a better job to improve mail-in voting.
It's a huge concern. It's a huge concern. I mean, Indiana has a long way to go in terms of automating these processes. We don't have high-speed sorters here, so we don't have the infrastructure necessary. And Indiana really needs to look hard at ourselves and say, how do we get that infrastructure necessary to put in place so that we can run elections more smoothly.
The group recommends people who haven't received their ballot to try going to an early voting location instead. The deadline to apply for an absentee ballot is tonight at 11:59 p.m. Also, when you're finished filling out your actual ballot, you do not have to mail it back. You can drop it off in person at the County Election Board office or the Election Board Service Center. You can also drop it off at select early voting locations that open on Saturday. We do have those locations listed for you at WRTV.com/election2020. The deadline to turn in your finished absentee ballot is noon on Election Day, November 3rd. I want to give you a live look at Indianapolis International Airport as we await the arrival of Vice President Mike Pence in Indianapolis. He will vote early in Indy tomorrow morning at the Marion County Clerk's office. The Vice President and Second Lady had to reschedule after they canceled their original trip at the beginning of the month. The Vice President is on his way to Indy after a campaign rally in Fort Wayne this afternoon. He touted President Donald Trump just ahead of tonight's debate. President Trump and Democratic candidate Joe Biden will meet for their final debate before Election Day tonight. They have some rule changes in place. Each nominee will now be muted while the other delivers his opening 2-minute answer to each question. That's meant to reduce the interruptions that we saw in the first debate. Tonight's event will be moderated by Kristen Welker of NBC at Belmont University in Nashville. Topics will include the pandemic, climate change, and national security. We will have live coverage of the debate tonight for you. It begins at 8 o'clock right here on WRTV.
And Mark and everyone else in central Indiana immediately recognize that today the temperature change over the last 24 hours has been dramatic. It's 21 degrees warmer right now than at this time yesterday in Peru, 17 degrees warmer in Indianapolis. That October warmth came with lots of sunshine today. 81 in Terre Haute, 82 in Bloomington. Currently, Indianapolis is at 78. Tomorrow, between 2 and 7, that is kind of prime time for showers and thunderstorms along a cold front. Don't anticipate severe storms. We'll keep our eye on those. There is a low risk. Damaging wind would be the main threat. Of course, lightning makes every thunderstorm dangerous, but damaging wind would be the main threat from the stronger storms. We'll talk about falling afternoon temperatures and what it means for the weekend coming up.
Kevin, thank you. It's been a struggle for bars and restaurants since the start of the pandemic. Months without the income they're typically used to because of COVID restrictions. But now there's some relief for businesses in Marion County. WRTV's Stephanie Wade explains what funds are available to help businesses right now.
It's been tough watching some of our neighbors close and struggle, and so it's all surreal, honestly.
Each day has been a struggle for bars and restaurants during the pandemic.
Kind of just the uncertainty aspect, I'd say. Just trying to figure out, what we're going to be able to do down the line and how to continue to make it work.
Having to adjust business models, the owner of La Margarita in Fountain Square, John Ronhell, says,
we're lucky to have a patio and we kind of use it to the best of our ability. We've got, an order window that we kind of use with the garage. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing, is just that, trying to crank up the carry out.
Having all of their seating outdoors currently.
That's the biggest challenge looking ahead, is just kind of where do we go in the winter, because we don't really have any plans of yet to reopen the dining room inside.
But thanks to the help grant offered by the city of Indianapolis, La Margarita has one less thing to worry about for the next few months.
They can submit unpaid rent or mortgage expenses from April through September of this year, and then all rent or mortgage expenses from October through December of this year.
A rent and mortgage relief program, bars, restaurants, and live entertainment venues can receive up to $25,000 that goes straight to the landlord or property owner.
Obviously, for bars and restaurants, one of their biggest expenses and most constant expenses is going to be keeping their space in order to stay open. And going into these winter months, it's going to be even more difficult as folks probably aren't going to be going outside as much for outdoor seating, and there still is reduced capacity inside based on the public health order. And so we know these businesses are going to continue to struggle.
It's kind of that peace of mind that, when the first of the month comes around, we're able to cover that cost.
A family-owned business opened for about 35 years. Ron Hell says they are going to weather this storm.
Get through to the other side and keep it rocking, serve margaritas at the bar,
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
The city wants to specifically target minority-owned businesses, female-owned businesses, veteran and disabled-owned businesses as well through this grant. The applications are still open through November 6th. If you'd like to apply, we will have a link on our website at WRTV.com.
Moving to hiring Hoosiers, new employment opportunities are opening up, and we're showing you some of them in our job feed. Cornerstone Autism Center is hiring full-time ABA therapists at the Greenwood and Edinburgh locations. You'd work with children or young adults with autism on decreasing problem behaviors and increasing functional behaviors. Hiring Hoosiers partner Marion needs production support workers for Weaver Popcorn in Whitestown. Pay is $16 an hour. To learn more about all of those jobs and to apply, just find their posts on the Hiring Hoosiers Facebook page.
As you know, it's been a busy week with rain. We've had 3 inches of rain so far this month. I bring that up because we're going to add to that total tomorrow. More on the timing.
IndyCar's final race of the season will once again decide the series championship. The contenders may be familiar, but the venue is not. Brad Brown has a look ahead to the final in Florida coming up in sports.
Summer warmth and fall colors. Certainly, the October sun still has some strength, doesn't it? You could easily work up a sweat today across central Indiana. Temperatures still mild tonight and for most of tomorrow as we're between weather systems temporarily. The wind flow from the south-southwest is going to transport warmer temperatures and even humidity into the state. And I say even humidity. I mean, we always have humidity, but it was noticeable today. And you can see the impact, the temperatures way above average into the lower Great Lakes. But look at those temperatures crash as we go after tomorrow afternoon into the weekend. 53 Saturday, 56 on Sunday. Those are highs, and we'll really spend most of next week in the 50s, lower 50s for highs. As far as our probability of rain, way up there during the day tomorrow, and then again on Monday, the most likely time for more widespread rain. The risk for severe storms is low tomorrow, but it's not zero. Damaging wind would be the main threat as the storms come through, and that 2 to 7 o'clock window is kind of a broad window for you. Damaging wind, again, the main threat. As you look at the timeline, I pick it up at 1 o'clock. There's the line at 4. Comes together best, produces the most rain, I would say, in the eastern half of the state. You can see it departing early evening tomorrow. That may work out well for Friday night football. I definitely take a raincoat with you and a jacket because it will be cold there. There's your rainfall potential, quarter to almost half-inch rainfall amounts. Notice the temperature drop. It's sharp. Once the cold front goes through, the wind direction will change, and that'll send our temperatures from the 70s into the 50s quickly. Wind out of the southwest early afternoon. By the time we get to late evening, it's a northwest and north wind. That will send our temperature almost to the 30s by Saturday morning. 41 is the low temperature. And there's your Friday evening forecast for football. Temperatures into the lower 50s by the time the games end. As far as what we expect for the weekend, the chance for rain will increase certainly by Sunday night. It becomes likely on Monday. Temperatures in the 50s over the weekend will be the common theme next week. Widespread rain Monday, 53. Still in the 50s, as you can see, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Lows in the 30s, so if we have some moisture around before sunrise, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a melting snowflake mixing in with some of the rain showers. Amanda?
Thank you, Kevin. 2 drivers, 1 final race, and a championship on the line. IndyCar's whirlwind of a season comes to an end this Sunday. A pair of past champions will be looking to add to their impressive resumes. As Brad Brown shows us, it's full circle to the finish line.
If it seems like the 2 drivers competing for IndyCar's 2020 Series Championship have been here before, you are not mistaken. Scott Dixon and Joseph Newgarden. 4 of the last 5 years, one of that duo has held the Astor Cup when it was all done. They'll battle for it again on Sunday.
He's been consistent throughout his whole career. He's just always there. He's very dependable and very capable in any situation.
Joseph is exceptionally good in all areas, that IndyCar throws at you.
Dixon started the season in dominating fashion. 3 wins in the first 3 races. He built a nearly 150-point lead and looked like a shoo-in for the title. But in these last 4 races, he finished 10th, 9th, and 8th.
For us, we try to typically keep it pretty simple, but I would say that was not the case for the last few races, which got us into a bit of a tailspin. And obviously, Joseph and Team Penske, him and his teammates have been doing a fantastic job.
As Dixon's results faded, Newgarden made a charge in the stretch run. Wins at Gateway and the Harvest GP at IMS cut the margin to just 32 points for the season finale.
I'm surprised we're here, to be honest. You know, it almost makes it more disappointing looking at the year now that we've clawed back to this point, because we were in such a deficit and there was such a hill, and we've reduced the hill without a doubt, but it's still a mountain to climb.
This marks the 15th straight season that the championship will come down to the final race. But it will be the first time the streets of St. Petersburg host the championship. Originally the season opener in March, it took a massive effort to get this October date on the calendar.
I think how all of us started the season, you know, loading into St. Pete, getting ready to go, and then waking up on Friday and saying that, well, you know, you probably need to book a flight to go home. So, you know, it's nice to end it in full circle and go back to St. Pete this year.
I think just thankful that we're able to go back and race there this season, you know, and it's going to be, I think, a really fun time in October. It's a different ending for us than we've seen in IndyCar.
IndyCar broke it down for us. Dixon has one more win, but 8 top 5s for each driver. Newgarden led the most laps in the series this season. St. Pete itself could be the X factor. Dixon has yet to win there, finishing runner-up 4 times. Newgarden won this race last March.
So here's the short version of how Sunday's points battle could play out. If Dixon finishes 9th or better, he's guaranteed the series championship. As for Newgarden, the best case scenario for him is to win pole, lead the most laps, and win the race. Even then, he would still need Dixon to finish outside the top 10 to clinch the title. So will it be back-to-back for Newgarden, or does Dixon win his 6th? We'll be there Sunday in St. Pete to find out. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
80 degrees today, temperature tomorrow 75, but falling in the afternoon. Plan on those showers and thunderstorms and then a much cooler weekend, guys. Mark and Amanda, you'll have to dress for the 50s.
Get ready for it. Hey, thanks for making WRTV your choice for news.
Join us again for the news at 7.